When we think about organic marketing, creating your messaging from your heart, there's no way your intuition can't be involved in that. I really think that when you are listening to your intuition, you're getting out of that beautiful brain of yours and really into the heart, you can feel it in your body. And sometimes, though, when you're listening to your intuition, it may be sending you those red flag type signals, right? Your guts are kind of a little bit turning or tight, or there's maybe that butterfly feeling. And so I think when we can really tap into the feeling of intuition and how it shows up in our body, and especially when we can get ourselves into our heart, that's, I think, is super duper key and really, really important as a business owner, as a leader, as a thoughtful, human putting things out into the universe to really make that larger impact. There's probably 5 ways that we can express within our marketing. It's interacting live in person, it's doing videos where you're talking and you don't need the audience to be there. Maybe it's the audio component where you're doing a podcast like Ike mentioned, or maybe you're picking up that phone and calling people, or writing like Jen had mentioned, or maybe you're a visual creator, right? We're really doing art and drawing, and through that way, you express the best. And I think, I spent almost 20 years as a marketer in the nonprofit space, and every single job description said I had to be good at all 5 of those things. And I don't think that's true. And so when you're an entrepreneur, guess what? You get to pick what you want to do and where you really thrive. So throw the other ones out the window and say, you know what? Let our weaknesses be weaknesses. I'm going to double down on what I'm really good at. And I know personally, I'm really good at live in person. And so I'm going to do things like this, be on panels. I'm going to go to networking events. I'm going to be on interviews where there's another person on camera interviewing me. But if I get asked to write an article, I politely decline because I know that writing won't light me up, even though I probably could express myself, but it's not emotionally aligned for me. And so I just let it go. And I think that's the biggest first piece of advice for anyone starting a business is it's okay to let your weaknesses be weaknesses, especially in marketing creation.
It might sound counterintuitive to even ask this question because, like we were just saying, quieten down the noises of what everyone else thinks. But what are some of these methods of marketing that has been infused with intuition that you have found to be really effective for your business?
So a part of the process of finding guests that align with me, is the virtual assistant, and my virtual assistant does a good job of sending emails and outreach messages. But then I also noticed that when I personally make outreaches to people that I generally just feel aligned with, those tend to work out pretty well too. And for example, something that I would like to do is I would create a message on Facebook, I mean, on wherever the platform the person is, and I would be like, hey, I think you would like blah 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 episode that I previously did because of what kind of work you have shown to do in the past. So I would maybe reference a post that they've done on social media, and when they see that I've actually kind of referenced what they're doing in relation to what I'm doing, it creates some form of alignment that increases the response rate. Now, the nature of marketing that is not everyone doesn't want to admit this. Like if we're being honest, not everybody's going to respond. And I think that's part of the nature of things. Like I would say honestly, for like every 10 messages I send, I probably get 2 responses. But when I do make those messages very intentional and very precise, they tend to be a lot better. And the conversations and the alignment is definitely better, than just spraying
Mhm.
everywhere.
And I remember you sending me one of those messages, and you were like, "Hey, you'll be really interested in like this episode because of da da da." I think it was intuition, actually. I think it was something to do with intuition.
Yeah, the episode was about how this guy was able to like create like a multi-million-dollar company through the art of his using his own intuition. And I was like, oh, this
Yeah,
sounds goofy. So I just sent it to you, and I remember you were like, you really liked the episode. Yeah.
I did. Yeah, and I appreciated that because of that personalization. And then it sparked a conversation where we talked a bit about like what we thought about it, and like we kind
Yes.
of connected after not having spoken for a while. And so yeah, I totally agree that those kinds of organic conversations with the marketing attached to it is something that I've found really effective as well.
And I think for your own peace of mind and your own sanity, I think it really helps when you go into marketing without really expecting anything in return. I think a lot of the anxiety comes where when you're sending messages or you're pitching clients or maybe you're trying to get a guest, it's like he has to come on or he has to be a part of whatever I'm doing. And if he doesn't, then but if you can just generally just give, like Sophie, if I gave you that podcast episode, if you didn't respond or whatnot, like I'm not gonna take it personal, and I'm just gonna live on with my life. I think that creates a lot of peace, and I think people find that energy attractive. Instead, people can kind of tell when you really want something from them. It's like it's kind of all right, man. Like leave me alone. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Hey man, just if you like what I'm sharing, cool. If not, we're gonna move on with my life. I think people can feel that. We're all laughing because we know that experience.
Yeah, totally. Well, and I think, Ike, what you're talking about is the only thing in marketing that you're in control of is you showing up. The rest is not anything that you're in control of. And so, when you're creating your marketing, think of it, and I think you're really describing this really well. You do relationship marketing so well, Ike. Like, I love it. And when we can really think about building those meaningful connections and know that out in the world, there's going to be connectors, there's going to be collaborators, there's going to be champion or cheerleaders who, may never be. I always say that's like my mom or my childhood friend. Like they'll share things, and I'm like, why are you sharing this? Like it's so silly, but there's still the biggest cheerleader and champions, and then there's potential clients. The other thing too, though, that I think we, especially because of social media, and I 100% blame this on social media, as humans nowadays, we want instant gratification. We want the likes, the loves, the comments, the things to go viral. And I think we sometimes discount there are watchers watching you. They are loving what you're putting out. They feel like you're speaking to your heart, but they're not ready to say that yet. And so if
Yeah.
you can do the one thing that you can control, which is you showing up and showing up fully and authentically in your voice and where you really believe, knowing that you want to build a deep relationship through your marketing and to start conversations, when that person is ready, they are going to show up and you may never know who they are. And I had a champion cheerleader turn into a watcher, turn into a client, and not in a million years would I have ever thought this guy would need my help. But he does. And
Mm.
it's a 15-year-long project that I am now involved on. So I think that we also just need to know, again, the universe is going to work in our favor if we continue to honor ourselves and show up in our best steps forward, especially when we're putting ourselves out there to be visible with our email list and speaking on stages and putting social media together.
Jen, I wanted to come to you because I feel like your approach to marketing is a bit different from many others that I see in the sense that your mission is more geared towards amplifying other people's voices. And you're kind of behind the scenes in how you're not necessarily like showing up, but you're backing them. And can you tell us a bit about that?
I send a lot of emails also, and most of the time I get a positive response when I do newsletter articles, for example, and it's been really fulfilling. I just am, very clear about how whatever the person is doing is really interesting to me, and this is my newsletter. Would you like to be a part of it? And I just give a timeline. Usually it's a very uplifting process, so it's a nice thing to be a part of. I think it really is important to tap into who you are, what matters to you, your intuition, your connections to others. If the universe and you are in tune, go with that. Really be open to everything that clicks, and also focus on being uplifting and offering hope, right? Collaboration, connection. We really need these things, given the world that we live in, and people resonate with all this stuff. And one of the reasons I highlight others is because I've tapped in, to all this stuff myself, and they have as well. And so I want to highlight that. I want to appreciate that and to kind of keep that ball going in the world, and people want to receive that. It feels so much better than some of the other things we're processing on social media and in the
Yeah.
news.